Dashboards are designed to present as much information as possible in a simple and readable manner. In a well-prepared visualization of this type, a quick glance is enough to understand all the included information. Such are the dashboards available in PS IMAGO Pro. In this presentation, we will look at the percentage of target thresholds group, which is an extension of the percentage of target group. In the dataset invoices aggregated, we have information about the total sales in 2022 and 2023 for each quarter and the entire year. Besides the information about the period and sales levels in 2022 and 2023, there are three variables at the end that represent the sales plans for 2023 and the variables good and bad, which indicate acceptable and unacceptable levels of plan fulfillment. The prepared visualizations will show the sales and the sales thresholds in the previous year, determining whether the sales level was acceptable or not. Let's get started by selecting Dashboard from the Predictive Solutions menu, then Percentage of Target Thresholds, and choose Thermometers. In the newly opened window, for the group categories, select the variable period. For actual values, select Sales 2023, and for Plan Target, select Plan 2023. Also include additional information, such as threshold variables. For percentage below, which is the value below which plan fulfillment is considered unacceptable, select the variable bad. The acceptable plan fulfillment level, recorded in the variable good, should be moved to the percentage above field. The thresholds for each quarter in this example are different. Finally, optionally, we can add a reference value, which for us is the sales level in 2022. This way, we will know not only the extent to which plans were fulfilled, but also how sales compare year over year. The last description field allows you to include a variable containing a custom description, which will be placed on the chart instead of percentage values. For example, these could be absolute values of the analyzed variable. Next, let's go to the Properties section to modify the dashboard display settings. First, we will add a target line indicating the level of plan fulfillment, specifying whether the desired level should be different from the default 100%. In our example, we set the acceptable threshold at 95%. Then, depending on the data we have, we can decide to what percentage level the chart should be scaled. The default is 100%. I will set it to 130%. Within the options, we can specify the sorting method for the results. I will leave the default settings. In the section on the right, we can choose the color scheme for the dashboard. Select the lights template. Remember, you have the option to generate charts in rows, and each chart in the dashboard can be generated as a separate object. This makes it easier to manage them when preparing and arranging the report. Leave these options unchecked and click OK. In the next step, under the Format button, we can set the chart sizes to best fit the report format we will use. I will skip this window and proceed to Legend. Deciding to display the legend on the chart, we must first decide from the drop-down menu whether it will be displayed horizontally or vertically. Regardless, it will always be visible below the output object. I will choose the horizontal option. The legend has its default description, but the user can insert their own, which will be loaded from the variable labels. I will leave the default description. When using the lights and inversed lights templates, in the legend settings, we must indicate whether higher values are better or worse. Since I use the lights template, I will leave the default settings, meaning higher values are better. On the right side, we can set the legend area size independently of the chart size. Let's return to the main window by clicking OK. Finally, click OK and proceed to the report window. Let's look at the generated chart. The color scheme naturally leads to the correct associations, and the gray bar indicates the current sales. The dot, as an optional element, shows the sales level for 2022. Let's examine the individual quarters. In the first quarter, sales are below the established minimum threshold and far below the sales in the first quarter of 2022. As for the second quarter, the situation is much better. The sales plan was fulfilled at 98%, exceeding the acceptability level by 8 percentage points. The third quarter is not bad. The sales plans are within the established thresholds, and the sales value is similar to the previous year. The fourth quarter is the most favorable, as illustrated by the high sales bar exceeding the acceptability threshold and the 2022 result. The whole year can be considered a moderate success. Although we exceeded the acceptability threshold for sales, it is still 90% of the sales plans, a slightly worse result than the previous year. In this way, using one simple chart, we obtained comprehensive, exhaustive information about sales in the current year. Using such dashboards is an excellent way to monitor the current situation and summarize the entire year. The same information can also be presented using other types of dashboards, such as bars and gauges. Highlighted bars, based on defined threshold values, clearly indicate the evaluation. Good quarters are displayed in green, acceptable quarters in yellow, and below expectation quarters in red. Of course, the chart's color scheme depends on the chosen template. As for slider or clock gauges, depending on the position of the gray bar or indicator, we can determine how current sales compare to plans, considering the established thresholds. In this presentation, I deliberately omitted showing individual dialog windows within this section. It is an analogous situation to the first example, with slight differences appearing only in the options for specific visualizations. Dashboards from the percentage of target thresholds group will undoubtedly introduce a new quality to the prepared reports. Their readability, simplicity of presentation, high information content, and ease of interpretation will streamline the decision-making process and facilitate a quicker and easier assessment of the current situation.